What's going on, you guys? Jay here and welcome back to the channel. So we're diving straight into this one today because we've got a lot to go through here on Friday for you guys, just getting you up to speed, getting you up to date. We've launched LUNC Pumped Up Fund. That's available. There's news going out at the moment. If you can throw down some support on that, we would really appreciate it. It's been a long-winded journey for us over the course of 3-4 months developing that and ensuring that we bring a good, positive and safe product to market. There's a little bit of interesting stuff going on behind the scenes, and my development team actually came across what you would call a project breaking issue, something that's not fixable because you've renounced the contracts. And essentially, yeah, all of these people that have gone out, they've launched on this other platform that tried to mimic us. And now you're in a situation where effectively you're part of a broken system. We'll be rolling out an update with that over the course of this weekend. I'm going to be traveling, but I'll still be doing little bits of content. I want to get you guys up to speed on that vector attack, which is essentially, like I said, a breaking state for a project that has essentially rushed itself into existence. So the total crypto market cap's looking pretty good today. It's poking its nose up a little bit on that 1 hour chart. Although this is the 1 hour chart, it's good to have just that little bit of positivity going into the weekend. I think everybody should focus on probably just taking a step back, dollar cost average in if you can, if you've got some dry powder. If you haven't, I totally understand it. It's cryptocurrency. Just try be safe wherever you can and just try to remain as humble as possible. So over the course of 2023, 2024, coming into 2025, I was very outspoken on MiCA regulations and how this would affect the stablecoin sector. And we saw the rollout of a possible delisting on Binance. People didn't listen to me. And that's why I was always a strong advocate of really just supporting LUNC. And effectively, if someone could have come up with a repeg, it would have been done by now. And we've tried to support as many of those as possible. And I've explained we're walking into different times. We've got that Stable Act, which is just cleared the House committee, and now it's going to go into that full House vote, which essentially this thing's done and dusted. The likelihood is it's 100% coming into motion, and this is something that I've been warning everybody about. Again, when it comes down to the stablecoin sector, specifically in DeFi, it's just not going to be doable from a decentralized body in this current shape and form. The regulatory landscape is just moving thick and fast, and what they're doing is ensuring that only good products come to play, safe products come to play, products that are 100% regulated and brought to you by competent people that are able to essentially have the licenses, be registered to do such a thing. Another thing was we pushed for so long on that 1.86 billion USTC burn. The chain was essentially robbed from this. Many people told me I was wrong, to once again see that the SEC, a lot of people were saying thanks to LFG, but it's nothing to do with LFG. The SE of so many words this morning. The SEC are the ones that are responsible for all of the burning that just went through. TFL, LFG, Do Kwon are completely barred from crypto entirely. They're not allowed to do anything in regards to cryptocurrency, blockchain, period. They're not, this didn't come from them, it came from the SEC. So be careful who you thank at this moment in time, because essentially TFL were a bit of a leech on this entire ecosystem. So like I said, we've got a lot to cover today, and I wanted to get everybody up to date. And what I want to do is just off of the bat say to everybody, I think this is a good idea. It's a very smart way to approach the idea of using and utilizing the community pool funding to go and buy liquidity, being USDC, to bring it on chain. And this will be brought through a very specific method. It's going to go through Noble. It's a route where you can get directly into the Cosmos. And essentially, yeah, DeFi projects would benefit from having stable coins on chain greatly. We've spoken about this many different times before. Axela provide a similar route for actually getting stable coins into the Cosmos itself, specifically onto the LUNC chain. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done, but essentially we've been talking about this for some time. We've been bringing this up on the channel for a significant amount of time. Yeah, DEXs are going to need stable coins in the future. They're going to need to have access to that stable market. If we can introduce a stable market into our ecosystem, it's going to be very beneficial for us, specifically because people aren't going to, essentially we have a big crash. People can then dip and dive in and out of their position. They can stay inside our ecosystem. We're not going to be seeing the liquidity head off to Binance, to crypto.com, to MEXC to be sold for a stable coin, to sit there to wait maybe months before they possibly think about buying back in and then coming back on chain. This starts to foster in an environment which is very beneficial and very productive for our overall ecosystem. But what I wanted to do was actually break down a certain section of this proposal, because I'm not agreeing with it. I think it's very dangerous that people, specifically Frag, is going out there and making wild claims about people who are known to be bad actors. This proposal is going to be reliant on multi-sig signers, but it's going to be done through DAO. We use DAO for a few of the different projects that we're managing, as you know, in the LUNC ecosystem. And it's essentially a multi-signature wallet on steroids. You can create a DAO. That DAO can have sub-DAOs, and you can delegate power. You can give more power to one person. It's a very, very smart and intricate system. And essentially, it allows you to micromanage a centralized body in a decentralized way. Does that mean for a second that it could not be fooled? The seats couldn't be fought over through governance? We wouldn't see the same situation play out that we saw with the sub-DAO? Absolutely. If you introduce a DAO like this, which is essentially what the sub-DAO was, and this is what they were pushing towards, you're just introducing multiple seats for everybody to fight over in the ecosystem. And essentially these people will say, well, we can't decide through governance what we want to do, so let's introduce a sub-DAO. Well, hang on a minute, we can't decide what we want to do through governance, so what makes you think that it's going to be any easier inside this sub-DAO or this DAO, so to speak? So the proposer himself, being Frag, is stating the following list of multi-sig signers, and these are individuals and validators who have demonstrated strong support for the LUNC ecosystem over the long run: LUNC Goblins, LUNC Live, Juris Protocol, Vegas, Hexagon, Rexy, Nicholas Boulay, Garada, Jesus is Lord, Allnodes, and Renzo. And then just below it, we see the statement: this is a large, broad, and diverse group of respected community members. This initiative aims to unite different factions and create a valuable effort for the chain. Essentially, what I'm seeing here is the unification of many bad actors. None of these people are respected inside the ecosystem, and this is just Frag's point of view. And I found this very suspect because there's so much evidence out there where you can simply go and you can dispute it. So Hexagon was originally Terra Rebels, and the LUNC ecosystem essentially agreed to pay them a substantial amount of money. And this was around $150,000 to begin with. And then this $150,000 payment was supposed to bring us wallet infrastructure, back-end, front, everything, mobile apps. We didn't get that. What we saw was Hexagon develop their own technology for themselves that they kept. That $150,000 simply paid for Hexagon to rise up with their Galaxy infrastructure. Not only did they take $150,000, but they pillaged and plundered this entire blockchain's community pool with people like Vin Nagayan and Steve. Now, with that being said, right, are these people good actors or bad actors? Well, they're clearly bad actors if they stole nearly $250,000 from the ecosystem, promised that they would provide us all of the tools, promised us that all of this infrastructure would be community controlled and we would be able to have say and we would be able to dictate and determine what happened with it through governance. Well, how did that work out for us, guys? How did that work out for us? Well, it worked out terribly. So going back to the list and saying to ourselves, well, Hexagon, boom, you can cross them out. They're absolutely no good for this ecosystem. So now we look at Rexy. Rexy launched Terraport Finance, and it was hacked for around $2 million just 10 days after launch. This money has still never been reclaimed. Those holders still haven't been made whole, and you can probably guarantee a lot of these people have just been blocked on X. They've been muted out because it's easy for these groups to do that, which is exactly what they're trying to do with this new sub-DAO over this liquidity provisioning situation. On top of Rexy being hacked for $2 million and having this massive debacle in the ecosystem, he runs multiple validators. So a guy who promotes decentralization runs 3 validators, one for each segment of his community, so to speak, each portion of his community, each project that he has built has its own validator. So essentially, they're running multiple nodes and they're network noding. So is this beneficial? Is this person a good actor? Can they be trusted? Absolutely not. And if we cannot learn from our mistakes, then we are desperately lost. So that removes Rexy and Terraport from that multi-sig signers list. If I look at all nodes, they shouldn't even be on there. They're dictators beyond measure at this point. The rules that they enforce on individual validators to benefit their own means is insane at this point. And then we've got Vegas on there, someone who's been very spotty. They've come, they've gone, they were part of a Terra Rebels debacle. They've made centralized decisions many times before, and they made a centralized decision to make many different changes recently. If you believe, right, that you're going to give power, a seat of power to this guy to handle liquidity provisioning, right, and you really think that he's not going to go and make centralized decisions with, again, people like Neblio that he believes is beneficial for the blockchain, but essentially the entire chain may or may not agree to it. And this was a situation that did play out with Neblio. So again, are these people good or bad for the ecosystem? Well, clearly they're bad. Everything that we're going through at the moment, where we've been robbed for all of this momentum and we're not getting the reflection out there in the market that shows what's currently going on in our ecosystem, and that's because nothing is going through governance anymore. So again, this wipes Vegas out. It could keep bringing up all of the historical basis of all of the different crimes these people have committed in the decentralized sector. It becomes a situation where it's like, well, we should just really make a documentary because history should not be forgotten. And that's exactly why they teach it in school. Can you believe they put Jesus as Lord on this list? I mean, a guy who openly runs a cult, that openly brainwashes people, that openly states that if he gained power over this blockchain, he would ensure it went in the direction that he believed was best. On top of this, he runs 2 validators, so also he's network noding. Is this someone that you really want to give a seat of power to for liquidity provision when it comes down to direct communications between the chain, CXs, DXs that may want liquidity provisioning? You know, the majority of people on that list have projects themselves, so each and every one of them effectively have a conflict of interest. When we go and we look at the most recent kind of work that's been paid out for, it's completely outside the spectrum of what is paid per job. The community many times before have been presented a proposal and they've seen off of the bat that, well, hang on a minute, the work hasn't been completed, so we can't pay these developers. But the difference is this time it was frag. So the community is going to be like, oh, okay, it's frag, you know, we should pay it. But again, where's the vesting contract payment option for spend proposals? We still haven't had this work completed and rolled out. Yet another person, being Juris, proposed that frag should get paid. And because the community feels that if they don't pay frag, he might not do any more work, so they paid him. But have we got this work? No. Did we pay before the job was over? Yes. Was this how pay per job was supposed to go down? Absolutely not. There's means and methods that have been constructed inside our ecosystem that everybody's agreed on, and all of a sudden, this one group of people are now suddenly just making centralized decision, working outside of normal means, acting very unorthodox. We're seeing people. It's getting absolutely wild. Okay, so let's flick back to the list. We can see that LUNC Live is mentioned at the top of the list as a consented signer for this proposal. And from my perspective, when we look at the historical basis of LUNC Live being Mr. Diamond Hand's Wezo world, they've acted against every interest this blockchain had. They're the ones who shut down the 1.86 billion USTC burn, not outright, not up front. They did it in the last 1 minute of the proposal. They are the ones that prevented this burn from popping off. They are the ones that robbed this whole entire ecosystem for its burn initiative after we had built up the mirror, the anchor protocol burns. They had burned the shuttle bridge assets, and all we needed to do was go in and burn that 1.86 billion in LFG and then move on to Project Dawn, and LUNC Live prevented that from happening. So are these, again, people that you want to give seats of power to? Absolutely not. This proposal is heavily reliant on the trust that is going to be bestowed on each and every one of these signers, and this isn't even a guaranteed thing. These signers could change. They could have a smaller amount of signers, which would make it even easier for people to manipulate. The the idea is great. You know, it's another one of those things. We really need it. But should we essentially put people who are not trained to drive lorries in lorries because we've run out of lorry drivers that day? Absolutely not. We're going to have accidents. People are going to crash into each other. We're probably going to cause somebody to die. These are the things we need to think about instead of just going, oh, it's a great idea, let's ape into it. We've got a lot of new community members coming in to the Terra Classic ecosystem. And as we bring in more new people, as more groups turn up, they're not going to be aware of the historical basis behind all of these people that are now being presented by Frag, someone who's supposedly been here from the beginning and knows the historical basis of this chain, but yet he's saying this is a group of respected community members. We could probably find many different people out there that would say different. It's not going to be just me. I know a lot of you are going to feel the exact same. We went over the sub-DAO proposal quite heavily on the channel, and we explained why this was a bad idea, and giving that seat of power would just lead to more negative outcomes, more bickering, and more things for people to fight over in an ecosystem where everybody is striving to take power from the decentralized community. Power must always remain in the chain's hands, period. And the chain must always remember the historical basis. Because if it does not, people like this will rise up again and will end up being led by cult leaders, by people who are responsible for $2 million hacks, people who make centralized decisions, people who have stolen $250,000 from the blockchain, people who have prevented the Burn Initiative from going any further while stating they had been advised by their legal advisors to vote in this capacity at the last minute, acting as if they had saved the chain when really they were just helping kill the ecosystem so they could present Wezo World to you. Each and every one of these people on this list effectively have a token, a protocol, a DEX, a casino. They run node infrastructure. They've all got some way that they could benefit directly from having a seat of power over liquidity provisioning. Each and every one of them has a conflict of interest, and effectively, as Allnode states, if you've got a conflict of interest in your own proposal, each and every one of these people will not be able to vote on the proposal. Instead, they will have to abstain from it, and apparently those are the rules according to Allnode. So again, is Allnode someone you want on this list? Absolutely not, because we don't want dictators coming in and enforcing rules that have not been approved through governance. For a long time, we all abided by the rule set, which was paid per job, and it was manually enforced in a decentralized manner. And from my perspective, that showed that everybody knows what they should do. They know what is expected, they know the procedures, they know how it's supposed to go down, yet we're not seeing that attitude anymore. What changed? But let me know what you guys think about this. Like I said, shout out to LUNC Pump.fun, that is available for you guys. You can go out there, you can harness those tools, and believe me when I say this, each and every idea in crypto starts with the creation of a token 90% of the time. But yeah, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware, and I'll catch you in the next one.